Chapter 33 closes the Book of Consolations. It contains many promises of restoration, including much to do with the restoration of the monarchy and priesthood. We find Jeremiah still a prisoner of King Zedekiah, as we were informed in chapter 32. The introduction to the oracle in verses 2 and 3 is hymn-like and suggestive of a particularly important disclosure to follow. The name of the Lord, Yahweh, is repeated 3 times. He identifies himself as the one who made the earth, who formed it to establish it. As we have seen elsewhere, particularly in Isaiah, the stress on God's identity as the sole creator of everything that exists is often used against idolatry, and also to prove that if God is powerful enough to create, then he is powerful enough to redeem. And alongside his role as creator and redeemer, indeed intrinsic to both, is his role as revealer. This is what follows in verse 3, where he says that he will tell great and hidden things that you have not known. Back in chapter 15, the Lord declared that not even Moses and Samuel could intercede for Israel. Now here he invites Jeremiah to call to him, and he will answer. Judgment is still certainly coming, and death awaits many. But from verse 6 onwards, restoration is promised. Both Judah and Israel will be rebuilt to be as they were before. In verse 8, we have a dense collection of terms for sin which are repeated, and 2 verbs for cleansing and forgiving or pardoning. It is a strong assurance that amidst all the signs of prosperity and growth, or rather undergirding it all, is a complete forgiveness of all the ways Israel has sinned and rebelled. The emphasis on this cleansing and pardoning, which is all the work of the Lord, fits with the promises of the new covenant, where God will create a new heart of obedience for his people. It is not just that they will be forgiven, but they will be transformed into people who will obey him and trust him. There follows examples of the kind of prosperity and restoration that will come. Where there was silent waste, there will be the sounds of human happiness, weddings and festivals. Verse 11 is often sung at Jewish weddings. Chapter 34 sees Jeremiah again predicting that the Babylonian attack will succeed in devastating fashion. The Lord declares he will hand over the city to the foreign king, who will then burn it with fire. This will be the last time Babylon attacks Jerusalem. The judgment will be complete. The king of Jerusalem will be taken to meet the king of Babylon. However, despite all this, the news is surprisingly good for King Zedekiah. He will not die violently, that is, he will not be executed. In fact, he will die in peace with all the proper funerary arrangements, including the burning of spices and the public giving of laments. This stands in contrast with Jehoiakim, who in 22:18 the Lord says will not be lamented. The news is all the more surprising because of an earlier oracle, as found in 21:7, which predicts death at the hands of Nebuchadnezzar for Zedekiah and his servants and all the people left in Jerusalem. Perhaps the point of that oracle was to assure total destruction. Oracles need not be literal. If it is promised that all will be killed, it need not mean literally everyone. Likewise, if the oracle says the land will be an uninhabited waste, it need not mean literally no man or beast will be there. But if a prophecy singles out a particular person or city for some destiny, then that is a different matter. However, prophecy both reveals and conceals. The fact that Zedekiah will receive all these things as his ancestors did might have suggested to him that he be buried with them as well, and so might not linger in Babylon. But Jeremiah does not say this. Indeed, though he will not die, and though he will be taken to Babylon and not executed, grim things await Zedekiah, as we shall soon see. Why is the Lord being merciful to Zedekiah here? The Hebrew of verse 4 implies a choice. Some translations have, "Yet hear the word of the Lord," but it should probably be rendered as, "Only hear the word of the Lord." Chapter 38 will shed more light on this situation when in verse 17 Jeremiah tells Zedekiah that the Lord will spare him if he surrenders to the Babylonian king, even though the city will still be burnt. Jeremiah presumably had to have several talks with Zedekiah, and perhaps the prophecies varied in their detail. But however it exactly transpired, it appears that the Lord was willing to spare the king, if only he would not continue to resist Babylon and surrender. But did he actually listen?